Hi, I'm Camilla Blossom, and I'm a land alchemist, a planetary healer, and earthworker. And I've been having really interesting experiences with working with lands all over the world. And I wanted to share that, particularly as it relates to clearing and releasing, helping Gaia land trauma or historical imprints. And it's kind of a process that's similar to how we clear trauma and heal in our physical body, but this relates to Gaia. And I'll also be talking about being an earth worker, grid worker, about the new grids of the earth and the changes, um, our call to service, and also that call to travel or move to new places. So thank you for joining me. I think I'll start with the earth grids because there's been such a powerful, powerful change. You may have noticed or not. I'm kind of asking around. I notice some people do, some people don't. But when I go out in nature or just go outside, there is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful energy um, in nature, in the trees, in the elementals, in Gaia. It's like a beautiful reflection of the light of the veils dropping, of us remembering that we are nature and the sparkly beauty that is all around us is present. And so it just got really kicked up a notch. I know people are talking about the timeline shift. We went through a big one, a collective one, which is very powerful. And other different things who follow astrology, the stars and planets and such. But the new grids, I've been seeing this a lot for actually quite a long time. But if you are an earth worker, grid worker, probably seeing this as well. It used to be we were called to work and repair grids quite a bit. And now more and more and more, we're like letting go of those old grids, allowing them to fall, allowing them to just sort of, dissolve or stay, in their state, their incoherent state, and allowing the new grids to form because Gaia is in ascension just as we are. And she has this beautiful grid that is formed. So for us to really honor the beauty of that healed and whole Gaia in those higher dimensions, I see it as rainbows, a grid of rainbows. I see dragons all over, maintaining and working with this grid, keeping it beautiful and clear and vibrant, really anchoring it into the earth more so that more humanity, more animals, more of trees, everything on earth can remember and return and be reawakened to that higher octave. A lot of things on earth, including the trees, the sacred sites, the waters, like a lot of and us, like we've all kind of been in a sense of slumber. And so not just us being reactivated and awakened and releasing the layers, but the land and the water. Like I've seen this a lot in the elementals, like covered up with gauze or just sort of dampened down through, the clear cuts in the forests, all these different things that the elementals too have gone through. And so so there's a lot of healing happening, a lot of healing that we're doing. And that it's really important to answer the call of service to Gaia right now. And I know there's a lot of people who are like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't, what do I do next? What's my role? What's my mission? And for me, like whenever I try to think that way, forget it. Even though I've been pretty committed and focused on a path of, nature and the fae and the fairy shamanism and the land and the plants, working with the plant medicines, the flower essences and trees. like part of our purpose, I love this, I learned from Indigenous man, is to nurture planets. And so if nothing else, to really bring your focus for care and love and service to Gaia. And that may just mean like really listening to what park you should go visit today and just be there. And you are a healing crystal everywhere you go. You're a crystalline solar being of light. And so you are taking all your medicine. And if you've been a medicine person and worked a lot with different energies or hold hummingbird spirit or crystalline mastery of the crystals, like you are bringing your magic wherever you go. And so following that, going where you're called, traveling to different lands, tuning into places, yeah, anchoring that energy, praying to the water, like all these things are really important. And know that some of them are a lot of things we're doing in other dimensions. So sometimes I'll just open the door and say, okay, I can feel Gaia asking me to be of service today and do grid work. I'm available. Yes. And then sometimes, it used to be I would really sit or I'd work with others and really do specific things and watch and see and, be tuned into this kind of planetary healing. But really understanding that you don't need to even know, you just need to be available for what your role is and say yes, and then allow that part of you, that part of your dimensional, multidimensional being, do that work because you are doing it. But you can also bring more awareness just by saying yes to it and allowing it to move through. So yeah, what I really want to dig into now is this historical imprints or trauma. Like I've been a land alchemist for quite some time. I've taught other land alchemists how to work clear energy of land, work with the relationships of the elementals, the ancestors, the spirits of land, done a lot of sessions for people either in person or remote. And there's just some interesting things coming through lately with these sessions. And I thought it would be great to share that. They feel like part of this shift that we're going through the earth. The earth shifts, what she's asking for, what she's wanting from us. I'm sure I'll get more just sharing this with you. But I see these historical imprints as, kind of embedded in the earth are these layers of history, right? It's kind of like the graveyard thing. You don't want to build your house on a graveyard, right? Well, there's a lot of things that happen through history on this earth, and they're still embedded in the land. And what happens is places that carry these frequencies the same way, if it's in us, we have a generational trauma. I know I have a lot of like witch wounds, persecution wounds in my bloodline from Europe. And so it's the same with earth, can have certain energies from people that come or things that happen there. And so these are historical traumas or historical imprints. They're like frequencies or patterns or energies that are embedded in the land. And I know Gaia's ascension like is allowing a lot of that to move out. That's why sometimes the energy can be really crazy. It's not just us, it's her. And she could really use support. So that is one thing that I really love doing, is answering that call to support Gaia, doing that land work. Some of it is, or there's quite a lot that's about kind of psychopomp shamanic work, which is releasing souls, spirits, ghosts of people that have been trapped in the land or haven't gone, moved off the earth. And in some traditions, a lot of indigenous traditions, the spirits want to stay and protect the land. But what I've noticed over the years, over like 20 years, is more and more and more of these spirits have been on Earth are feeling like, no, I need to move because I want to, maybe my soul wants to come back and come back to the Earth as a human. And so anyway, back to the imprints, what I notice is that they, like, let's say there's an imprint of some violence in the land, like something happened there and it just the energy got trapped or these souls got trapped. So it's sort of stirring in this pot of this trauma. And then someone comes, go, oh, what a beautiful place to build a house, to build their house. And then all of a sudden, like weird stuff happens. I mean, I worked on this one place, just brought this memory, and this man committed suicide there. And I was tracing back and working with clearing the historical imprints with the woman. She also did some land work. And it was really fascinating because, for one thing, it's right next to a burial ground. This place was absolutely gorgeous, pristine, and overlooked Plateau, Mount Adams in Washington State, near the Columbia River Gorge. And it was just a really dark energy that had stayed there. And when this man moved in, who'd never had a history of any mental illness, he just went downhill and ended up taking his own life. And so we really went back, like, what is the darkness that is here that may have contributed? And it's really horrifying to think, that moving into a place could create such havoc and a choice to end their life. I don't, you don't really know the full story. But anyway, that's sort of an example of, if you have this historic imprint. Here we had a graveyard, we had other history of violence there. And then when that all kind of, and part of the graveyard, it's not so much it's a graveyard because the people live there now, like, it's just, the energy is amazing. It's more of like, she's now working with the grandmother that's the guardian there, and all the guardians there, and working with them. So that's a key, is a relationship with the spirits, for you to be in relationship. And so once that was established, then everything shifted. So anyway, what happens with these patterns is they attract the same. It's sort of like that, like attracts like. And so when you have a pattern of violence, it attracts more. And I could go on and on with stories of that in other places, but I kind of want to get more into more current kind of experiences that were really fascinating about land and places and kind of what work they need. And also I do mentor people one-on-one with this and other work, soul healing and soul midwifing. So if there is your own traumas or ancestral soul healing, as well as like work with land where you are or your homelands. So what I'm going to share some stories that really are about people that are either that wanted to do work with their land and themselves, which was ancestral and homeland related, right? But they might live in another place, or they might live where their homeland is. So some of these are Europe, some of these are Nicaragua. But it's interesting, a lot of these things are people that aren't necessarily from the place where they're working on. But I'll give you the first example, and that was a client that lives in Nicaragua, and she lives in Managua, I think, the city there. And so I've done some different work and different her home and her business. And we've had really interesting experiences with clearing, because what came up, we did the clearing work that I offer, and did that together, and calling in all of those helper spirits, the dragons and such. But then what came through was I kept seeing like this shaking energy, this movement. I'm like, there's something here that's sort of imprinted in this land. And it feels like a trauma because it's showing like shaking, like that kind of, you know, when you go through trauma, how you have that nervous system experience. And then the dragons were coming in, and then the earthquake energy. And she said, oh my God, there was a horrible earthquake in this, I believe it was the 70s, that devastated the whole city. A lot of people died. A lot of the elders remember, they hold it in their bodies as well, and the land holds it. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. I mean, and sad too. And so we ended up doing a lot of work of helping release souls that needed to move on. And that death energy, that trauma energy, asking the dragons to support, because they work a lot with the grids. They work with the earthquake, mitigating even earthquakes and earth changes. And so when we called in that kind of help and worked with it, we were able to really honor those people of the lands, the earth itself. Yeah, and work with kind of moving this trauma pattern through the earth and out as much as, you know, we were given permission to do and was our role. So that was really fascinating to experience that, and what support we as humans could have for places that have had that kind of energy. And, you know, when I do this work, I only do what I'm called to do, right? I listen. And so this was something that the person felt like we needed to do this and work together for her business. And then this coming through was like, okay, yeah, for this whole area. So a lot of clients I'm working with are people who are light workers, earth workers, who are really doing bigger work, collective work. And so we move into that territory for sure. So Ronald, you want to honor these clients, and thank you for letting me share this. The other one that I worked with is a Basque woman with that lineage from France, that area of Europe. And this one I just wanted to share because mostly the lineage thing, because a lot of us have, you know, left our homelands, left our lineage homelands and our birthplaces. And she was really in the process. She was in Spain at the time, I believe, and she was going to be moving back to France, or is in the process. But it just felt really powerful to be doing the ancestral healing with her, and then having that whole Basque lineage and the homelands of where her people came from, who were some really original indigenous people of that European area. Kind of Western Europe, I believe. So that was another really interesting one, a very deep healing for her through the lineages. And when we can do this lineage healing with ourselves, like I was saying, like she's a collective healer, and we were able to go in and really work with the land, work with places, work with the people, work also to clear those who are ready to move on, that have been maybe trapped here for different, in different imprints. So that's sort of an ancestral imprint experience. And the other one I wanted to share was kind of interesting. It's more recent. It was a woman who's not from Switzerland, but it was in Bern, Switzerland. And she wanted to do both some work with herself and her place. We worked with her place. But also, and she had gone through, you know, some personal trauma. So there was some healing she was doing, but she was living in a place where there was trauma. And so you can see that, right? The attraction. And so she wanted to kind of make changes in the place to help support her for herself as well. And being an empath, sensitive, like we need that, right? We can't live in places that hold trauma to at a certain point. It just can really make us worse, or keep us in that place by being somewhere, unless we're really working with the healing of the earth and ourselves. So anyway, in Switzerland, I was really called to tune in to the battleground energy. The battle, I mean, Switzerland's known for its neutrality, but back in the day, there's definitely battles. So we worked with that. We had to do that a few times. And then the other thing that was really interesting that came through was the statues. There's a number of statues, like metal statues, that were carrying the energy of patriarchy. It was almost like they had been imbued with this energy imprint to hold it in place in the villages, in the city, in this country, Switzerland. It's kind of interesting for me because I have lineage there too, a Jewish Swiss lineage, which I always thought was interesting. But anyway, so we're tuning into these statues and they carry this really strong patriarchal energy. And, excuse me. I guess that's bringing up more, but it was a very interesting noticing, also because I've been working for years and on my own, like witch burning, persecution lineage, bloodline, recognizing it's a very physical bloodline for me and soul line. And so there is that generational trauma that I'm working through personally. And I do have Swiss lineage, I do have French lineage. So these places too have connections with my ancestry, through my ancestry. And so yeah, so we did some work with that. I know there's more, but I just wanted to kind of bring forward these examples of places that carry this historical imprint in the land, or the statues, or in the people that from the homelands. Yeah. So there's still a lot of work to do, or a lot of love to give, a lot of presence to have, to be for these homes, these places, these lands, loving the earth, gifting her. Yeah, and if it is something you feel called to work with in a session, I do the land alchemy. It's such a love of mine to really work deeply in relationship with the spirits there, with the ancestors, with the trees, to help uncover, reveal, bring clearing, bring love, bring coherence, and also really invite the new grids we were talking about. And so when I do this work too, I always end, and you can imagine this right now for where you are if you want. Imagine a spirit tree, like a tree of life. It could be the cosmic mother tree, like the tree of all trees that carries all of creation, and that be planted and anchored in your home or your land, or land you care about, the city where you live, the village, and letting that beautiful tree of life anchor into your location and plug in with you into the new grids of Gaia. And with that, they're going to circulate the beautiful Christ consciousness, unity consciousness, Sophia consciousness, whatever you call that energy of love, up its trunk, out its branches, its canopy, into all the land around, and then down into the earth, into the mycelium and the soil and the gnomes and elementals, and circulate that around. So that's like a beautiful kind of circulatory energy for any place, any home, any land or business. Get the energy flowing, and then really seeing that new grid, that rainbow grid, and anchoring that, because all of us are creating new fields of energy for the earth. and just gently and quietly we're taking over the beautiful love energy is kind of taking over and encompassing the earth, and then those things that are super chaotic and harmful, destructive are just sort of falling away. So the more that we can focus on, not to dismiss the shadows within ourselves or in the earth, but to really hold the medicine that we are, holding the visions, the fields, the magic of what is here in the new earth now, this remembering, and letting those memories of your joy on this planet, this precious jewel, come forward too. So I think that's a good one, but I guess one more thing is I always have this feeling that we can mitigate some of the earth changes, the weather, the earthquakes, and crazy things going on Gaia. I know she has to do a lot of them, but just consider as an earth worker, if we all band together and we each give our honoring, our love, our gratitude to the spirit of Gaia, to the earth, to the animals, the trees, the lands, be of service to her, work with the dragons if you want, whatever way that you do this, I can't help but feel that's going to mitigate and lessen some of the harm, the destruction that is happening. And but I know it's also a soul karma and process for us to go through and learn about our own experiences of being a human. And I love to look at ways that that miracles are here. So thank you. Please like, share, comment. That really helps so much. If you do want to work together, mentorship or land alchemy work or work with the Fae or the waters, any of that kind of nature earth-based shamanic work, you can check my work out or contact me below. And have a beautiful day. Thank you, Mother Earth, for being with us, bringing this through. And thank you, all of you, for all the earth work you are sharing in the world already. It really, really matters, each one of you. Thank you.